Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today at the Performance Cafe. I'm so excited because today I'm going to be speaking to someone really special, and that is Pam White, or Mrs. White as we call her when she's in trouble. So Pam landed up being my coach when I was doing a course about a year or so ago, just before COVID. I signed up. And honestly, for me, a large part of getting through a very difficult year was having Pam's coaching because she is really good at getting me to action things. So Pam is actually an entrepreneur, and she's been in that space since about 2001 in a branding business. But then around 2011, she started looking at self-development and how much she values that. And Pam is very values driven. I know she uses the DeMartini stuff quite a bit. And then in 2017, she formalized her path as a coach by going to do the integrative Enneagram. And since then, she's been practicing this. And it's through this and her natural coaching talents that she brings her gifts to the world. So, hi, Pam, how are you? And welcome.
Good morning. Hi, Innocent. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I am well, thanks, Pam. It's so good to be speaking to you again. I think we all thought by the time my coaching program was done, we would all be out of lockdown, but here we are, right?
Indeed. Lovely to make the connection again.
Wonderful. Awesome. So, Pam, I think some people have heard of the Enneagram. And so today we're going to talk about Enneagram. We're going to talk about performance. And I want to start off then ask you, what's your personal take on performance?
So, Innocent, I would say that since I've been on my coaching journey, performance for me, performance or success, however it's phrased, would be working with the coachee or your client and stretching them to their best full potential. So you would take, depending on what their requirements would be, you would take them from possibly a 1, which is where they would start, and take them to possibly a 10. So in other words, assisting them on their growth, on their self-development, deep insights, and to help them grow and to reach their full potential.
So Pam, you spoke about performance, but you also spoke about success. Do you think that COVID has, in general, to people around us, to society in general, do you think COVID and the lockdowns has changed how we see performance and success?
Yes, Innocent. I do think that as the COVID has set in, people have realized that the world is not going to go back to what we used to know as normal. So the big question is, what now? And this is where I think that, so there has been a period of time to reflect. So it's not an all rush. And people in their sort of coaching journey have said, what now? So now we are starting, or we are encouraging the entrepreneurial way of the future. So COVID, I think, has helped this journey. It's almost like it was a catalyst to get it going. So I definitely do think that has unfolded. Yes.
Pam, you speak about your clients specifically taking a look at where do we go from here. How is it? What tools do you use, and how do you do your coaching?
So what has happened of late, when I got the what now, even some people were possibly even going for an interview. They were skeptical, mind you, to go for the interview. And I said, how about we do a few coaching sessions where we can see where you're at? So the methodology I like to use, there's 2 methods I like. The first one is the IEQ, which refers to the Integrative Enneagram Questionnaire. That's the first one. That is a favorite of mine. And then I also use the DeMartini valuation determination process. That I find is a good map for, it's a good place to start, where a person has their values, where they have their talents, where they have their strengths, and we go from there. We've had a lot of good success with that, in terms of people have said, I'm so grateful that I took the time, and they got the value out of it, in terms of from having not sure of where to go to, can you point me in a direction for us to begin a journey, and then we go from there.
Lovely. So I love the DeMartini values stuff as well. What's the importance of values in the coaching process? Why do you use that tool?
Okay, so the values, as you are aware, we are all very different, and we all, you can have people being brought up in the same family, brothers, siblings. They're very, very different. So the values, it assists a person in, what do you naturally do? What are you naturally good at? So instead of feeling like you are in, a river rowing upstream with only one oar, when you pay attention to your values, you don't have to be encouraged. You don't have to be motivated to do what it is you've set out to do. So John DeMartini himself refers to, he never has to be motivated or encouraged to do research. That's what he places his highest value on, and he does it. I feel the same way about coaching as well. You do not have to motivate me. If somebody says, I'm catching an airplane, can I catch my session at 5 o'clock in the morning? Sure, no problem. Because it's something that you love to do. So the values, it really helps you to find out deep insights to yourself, ones that you never even realized. So a real highlight is, people say, well, how can I make a living out of, it can be any such thing. How can I make a living out of baking? Well, one lady made a huge success out of that. She really did. She's almost overtaking her corporate income now. And this is what yes. Wow. And this is in a period of, I think 18 months. So what a beautiful journey she's been, where she sort of thought before she used to bake on the weekend or during her off time or downtime, because it was a passion of hers. But then when it was a case of, well, now I was made redundant in COVID time, it was what now? Well, let me get baking because it's what I love to do. And now, 18 months down the line, she is almost surpassing her corporate income, and so much happier. So this work is wonderful. It's so wonderful to be part of, because you get to experience the aha almost daily, which is lovely.
Awesome. Oh, awesome. Definitely. The other part of what you use a lot, and I know you're an incredible advocate for the Enneagram. Tell us a little bit more about it. What is the Enneagram? We've heard the word, we've heard the name. What is it? Is it a personality test?
So innocent, yes, the Enneagram is a personality assessment, but it's actually a bit more than a personality assessment. So it derives from the Greek word ennea, which stands for 9, and gram, which means to be drawn or to be written. So Enneagram, hence the meaning of it. So the Enneagram is for a person or a team who wants to grow their self-awareness and to reach their full potential, is obviously the long that's the bigger picture. What I like about the Enneagram is it describes the why behind the what. So a lot of different personality, because I know there are a lot of personality tests on the market. With the Enneagram, I know a lot will give you the what a person does. But what I like about the Enneagram is it goes deeper. It's almost like your own individual personality DNA. So it goes into great depths, great insight, and it will tell you the why you do something. So it refers to your motivation of why you do what you do. So that's why I like the Enneagram.
So what you're saying is, if I can just make a practical example, if I've got someone who is, for example, always happy and fun and never sees the dark side of the coin and that kind of thing, and is peppy and is always up for fun, it's about not just understanding that they are that, but why they are that. Now, if I'm someone who knows if I'm the person that knows the peppy person, what does it help me to understand the why? What can I do with that?
So, for example, what I would say that you are intimating or leading towards, would sound like you are referring to the 7, which is the enthusiastic visionary. They tend to be like that, which is there's many positive traits. Well, there's many positive traits about all of the different Enneas, but on that one, they always tend to see the glass as half full instead of half empty, which is great. Why do they do it? When you dig a little deeper, for example, the 7s they like to avoid pain. So if something is feeling uncomfortable for them, they tend to be more peppy or more sort of visionary, because in a sense, they are avoiding the pain of facing what they need to do, get still, get focused. So where the Enneagram is helpful is you would stretch them to a point of your 5 would be your stretch point, which is the researcher, the going into your quiet space. What is it that you need to do? So you'd be facing the pain and therefore you can't just go to another party to avoid what it is that would help you to stretch you on your journey of success or reaching your full potential.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions that I have after that answer. So thank you.
I'm sure.
So
yeah, that's the depth.
What many people say. I mean, and I suppose this is the legacy of, sort of like very much older psychometric tools, is that they were used to label someone. You clever or you stupid. You are psychologically sick or you psychologically healthy. And so I find that very often people feel like, they don't want to be locked into a label. And so what you're saying is, well, if I'm happy and peppy and it makes me a 7, isn't that just another label?
Yes. When people do first look at the Enneagram, they do that is the first thing that comes to mind, is that's just a form of boxing, and it's a form of labeling. But it's more what happens is, so we moved away from just the numbers, because those of us that are in the know would say, oh, you're a 1 or you're a 2 or you're a 5, or numbers within the 1 to 9. But that's why the names are given: the strict perfectionist, or the intense creative, or the adaptive peacemaker, etc., etc. But what it gives you is the motivation. So it's not a boxing, it's more a deep understanding of yourself and others, of why you do what you do. And it's the motivation behind the action. So as I said to you before, with the 7s, you would, when they sort of feel, oh gosh, that's something is possibly not stimulating enough, they tend to skip over the detail. And there again, I am just scratching the surface. It gets a lot more in depth into that, because you can then go into the different subtypes. But that's for another day. So, just to answer your question, would be, it is the motivation that it addresses. So it helps you to understand yourself on a deeper level.
And then as a manager or a life partner or a coach or a counselor, you would then use that why to try and move people along the road to their goals? Am I right?
Yes. That would answer that question. You take, for example, a relationship you see between the 8 and the 9, which is the adaptive peacemaker and the active controller. That is the biggest gap in personalities on the Enneagram between the 9 and the 8. What it happens in interpersonal relationships is it helps, for example, the 8, the active controller. Why can you not be like me? If I've got a list of tasks, I'm the number 8, for example, I've got a list of tasks, I have to do them to make me happy. The active control, the peacemaker, they're not action people, but they have other qualities that bring to the team. So it's in a good, strong team, it's great to have one of each. If you can have one of each, can you imagine the scenario if you have all number 8s, everybody wants to take control? Or, for example, if they're all number 3s, they're competitive and they all want to take over. So you can't have 5 people in a team all being the same number. It doesn't work too well.
Someone gave me an example one day. I don't know why I seem to think it's from one of the emotional intelligence books by Daniel Goleman, where they said you don't play a round of golf just with one club. You need a wood club and a putter and an iron and I have no idea what I'm talking about, but you actually need all of them.
Exactly, you need all of them. So exactly what you say about the example of the golf clubs, it's like you need to put round pegs in round holes, not square pegs in round holes. So in a job, in a working environment, if you were to put a 9, say, at the top of the team, you would be setting that person up for failure. Why go there? The 9 will bring other things. The 9 could be the one that's the most qualified, indeed. But the 9 is not going to help in the rollout and the delivery, whereas somebody else, the right peg needs to be in that spot. So you set a person up for failure if you have, for example, the active peacemaker, where he doesn't want to upset anybody. So it's like, well, I can't tell so-and-so to do that job because they're going to get, upset with me. Whereas, the active controller, you do the job no matter what. They shrug it off. It's like, to them, it's not a problem. It's a problem for them to see you not taking out the action. It's like a red rag for the controller. So, yeah, I hope that's explaining it better.
No, it makes perfect sense. So tell me, are there better and worse Enneagram numbers, or how does that work?
Definitely not. No such thing. No. That is a complete no. Everybody brings their special gifts, and there is not one that's any better than the other. Yes, for example, what I have just said is that there are better suited numbers to better positions of types of jobs. Yes, that's answering that question. But there's no one better than the other, because without all, you're not. It's not a complete ball. The interesting thing is that we actually have all 9 traits within us.
Oh, okay.
So you
how does that work?
Yes, I know that now we get now it gets even more. We do. So we get a report back when you do the IEQ, the integrative personality test. The coach will receive a thing called the coaching companion, and this is most helpful. So it gives the different amounts of. So it's all based on a figure of 1 to 100. So your primary, the number that you are, so you'll be 70% a visionary, and you'll have 30% of, say, the active controller or less. Those numbers, or so you'll have your default. So it's the recipe. So you'll have the little bit of everything, and but your default is the one that you will always operate in.
So how do we use this in business then? I get the impression we haven't even scratched the surface of the assessment and what it can tell us and what we can learn. But given that we only have, an hour or so to deal with this, if I was in a business, how would I use the Enneagram?
All right. So in your business, you would have your different designations of, for example, your front of house. That could be your, could be your receptionist, or now that person, if she's possibly the more introvert 5, which is the quiet specialist, you don't put her out in the front where him or her out in the front where they need to engage with people. They find engaging with people exhausting. So they are better suited. Please leave me in the back doing the research of the company, and I'm happy doing that. I will go to the front of the house if I have to, but it's not the first prize. So that's how you would use it, to be absolutely specific to the needs of the job, so that the performance is not squeezed out of a person. It comes to the fore. So it flows. That's the word I'm looking for. It flows, and the harmony starts to happen where everybody's in the right job, where they say, oh, I'll do that job. I love to do that. Instead of, oh gosh, do I have to do that? The visionary does not want to do the proofreading and find out all the detail. There again, you could possibly be setting them up for failure. You've asked me to do the proofreading, and I've missed all the detail. Whereas the detailed person loves that. The more detailed, the more it flows.